I think there are some polls that suggest that maybe a majority of Americans do support a package of some kind, and they should, because if the financial system goes down, it's not just Wall Street that suffers, it's everybody else. It spreads to Main Street, and we get a lot of unemployment, a lot of lost jobs, a lot of businesses that go under. We could get some pretty nasty economic times. We've had them in the past, and I don't think we want to do that again. So I think House members should do it because I think it's the right thing to do, and they need to explain it to their constituents, which means that everybody else has to explain it properly to congressmen and women and make sure they understand it and why it's important to do. Well, when it was first announced that this was going down, the Dow Jones fell by 700 points. Now, most people don't have large holdings in the stock market, but many of us have 401ks or our retirement plans, at least partially invested in the stock market. So if we're thinking of retirement at some point in the future, we are concerned about what happens to the stock market. But it's broader than just the stock market. It's going to affect whether you can get a loan for a new car, whether you can get a loan for a different house, which, you may have to move for your work, and you've got to sell the house you're in and then buy another house. And if credit market conditions are poor, that's going to be very difficult to do. You're probably going to lose money on the house you're selling, and may be difficult to get a reasonable loan on the house you're buying. So I think ordinary people have a lot of stake in this as well. This is obviously complicating the election, and the election complicates this package. I think probably the House might have passed this if they weren't about to come up for a re-election and they hadn't got this negative reaction from voters. So I think the fact that we have an election coming up in November has made it more difficult to deal with this crisis. And I think it's complicated the presidential election. The candidates are having to sort of respond on the fly or figure out their opinions. They don't want to kind of badmouth the package. On the other hand, they don't have much control on what's in there. So I think from their point of view, it's a very big distraction. Well, it sort of looks like and feels like a recession. We did have economic growth in the first half of the year. I think we'll probably get a little bit of growth in the third quarter. I would expect us to see a decline in GDP, a decline in overall output, that is, in the fourth quarter and maybe in the early part of 2009. Obviously, if we don't solve this financial problem, we could get much bigger declines in GDP, and that would be a deeper recession.